Jordan Spieth has made the PGA Tour Playoffs for the 14th consecutive year. But this time, something feels very different. The three-time major champion enters the playoffs sitting outside the top 50, and that means his postseason could be over after just one tournament. For a player who once dominated the biggest stages in golf, Spieth is suddenly facing a situation he hasn't experienced in years. And the pressure is real. Jordan Spieth's name has been synonymous with the biggest moments in golf. Masters champion, US Open champion, Open Championship winner. But in 2026, the results simply haven't matched the reputation. Spieth entered the FedEx Cup playoffs at number 54 in the standings, meaning he needs to make a significant move at the FedEx St. Jude Championship if he wants to continue his postseason. And that's where the concern begins. Spieth has gone through one of the quietest seasons of his career. Despite playing regularly, he hasn't recorded a single top 10 finish on the PGA Tour in 2026. That's a remarkable statistic when you consider who we're talking about. This is a player with 13 PGA Tour victories and 3 major championships. His best moments this season have been flashes rather than sustained excellence. He finished T12 at the Masters, and several other solid finishes helped keep his season alive. But consistency has been missing, and that's exactly what has put him in this difficult playoff position. Here's why the situation is so important. The FedEx Cup playoffs begin with 70 players, but after the first playoff event, only 50 players move on to the BMW Championship. Spieth is starting at number 54, so he doesn't have the luxury of simply playing well enough to make the cut. He needs to outperform enough players around him to jump into that top 50 position. One bad week could end his playoff run immediately. And considering how much is at stake, that's a huge amount of pressure. There's another statistic that makes this story even more concerning. Spieth hasn't won on the PGA Tour since the 2022 RBC Heritage. That's more than 4 years without a victory. Think about how different that sounds from the Jordan Spieth we watched earlier in his career. In 2015 alone, he won the Masters and US Open. Then in 2017, he added the Open Championship. He had 3 majors before even turning 24. For a player who once looked destined to dominate golf for years, the prolonged winless stretch has been difficult to watch. However, there's an important detail that shouldn't be overlooked. Spieth himself doesn't appear to believe his game is finished. In fact, he has suggested that he feels better than his results have shown. And that's what makes his current situation so intriguing. Maybe the problem isn't that Spieth has completely lost his game. Maybe he simply hasn't been able to put everything together consistently enough. We've seen glimpses of the old Spieth. The question is whether he can produce one of those performances when it matters most. Now comes the FedEx St. Jude Championship. For Spieth, this isn't just another tournament. It's essentially a fight for survival. He needs to climb from outside the top 50 and secure his place in the BMW Championship. And if he can do that, he'll have another opportunity to keep his playoff run alive. But the ultimate goal is even bigger. The top 30 after the BMW Championship advance to the Tour Championship. So Spieth has a long road ahead of him. Jordan Spieth isn't finished. But there's no question that the pressure is building. A player who once seemed destined to dominate golf is now fighting simply to remain in the FedEx Cup race. And perhaps that's what makes this storyline so fascinating. Spieth still believes his game is better than his results suggest. Now he has one opportunity to prove it. Can Jordan Spieth save his season when it matters most? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoy the latest golf stories, subscribe to Golf Stories and turn on notifications, because we'll be following Spieth's playoff journey every step of the way.